Welcome to this month's Brown Bag Virtual Lunchtime Session. I'm Dr. Andrea Bowens-Jones. I am a coach, speaker, and trainer with IDG Vision Consulting and Training. And this is one of the many services we offer to connect people, to build a community, to inspire you to do something, and hopefully that you'll be stretched during this session to kind of do something and try on something new. So I love this forum. One, it's because it's informal. It gives us a chance to connect. I get to meet new people. I get to have old friends on. Sometimes my panelists, lunch buddies, are new ones, but this month I actually know both of these. And we were scheduled to have three. So I wanted to, before I do introductions, I just really want you guys to make sure you pray for Brenda, who was our third panelist, who is in the hospital with COVID and really wanted to be here today. But please remember her in your prayers, even if you don't know her. I'll put her name in the chat. Just make sure you lift her up because we do want her to recover. But those that know her well know she's high energy and love to connect with people. So here she is in the hospital, and she was texting me yesterday, worried about my session. So bless her for that. So to kick off today's session, I want you to use your little hand emojis. Tell me, over the last 6 months to a year, have you struggled with building your network virtually in some kind of way? So if this has been a struggle, you had to work a little harder, build some new strategies, go ahead and put a thumbs up if this is you. I see a few thumbs up. Hopefully my panelists can see that. Yeah, a few thumbs up. Thank you all for participating in that. One, I think it's important to note that this is something that we've all struggled for. I don't want anybody to feel bad to think that, man, I don't know why I can't get this. There's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there are all these things, and Zoom meetings. We literally could be on Zoom all day long. Why isn't my network growing? So let's talk about it. And what I hope out of today's session, one, we'll all leave with a tip from these wonderful ladies. We'll grow together. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, please don't wait to the end to put your questions in the chat. Go ahead and dump them in as you have questions going through. So, you guys ready to get started? I'm ready to get started. Let's start with introductions. So I'll ask Tashana and India to come off mute to introduce themselves. And when you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, but also to answer the question, what does the power of networking and relationship building mean to you? Okay, Tashana, you're on my left. We'll go left to right. We'll start with you.
Okay. Hello, ladies. I am Tashana Thompson with Beyond Business Solutions. We are a 14-year-old marketing agency, and we take a holistic approach to marketing. We help coaches, consultants, experts with all of the marketing things that they do not want to do, i.e. social media management, email marketing, web design, graphic design, lead generation, you name it, right? And we do this with a singular focus. I call myself a relationship marketer. So this is right up my alley. Thank you again, Andrea, for having me, Dr. Andrea. And it's with the focus of really helping our clients to build visibility, build real relationships with their ideal clients, and increase their revenue. And what does networking mean to me? Everything in relationship building, everything, both personally and professionally.
All right, thank you. All right, India, with those fabulous eyewear that you have on, go ahead and do your introduction.
Well, first, let me introduce myself. My name is India Woods. Thank you, Dr. Andrea, for the invite. I appreciate it so much. I'm here with my business, which is Dia's Consulting. And my business, I help women from the inside out. And that's from detoxing your body, self inside, and for your beauty on the outside, which she talked about my glasses, but my focus is outer beauty, which is health and wellness, and also cosmetics. Networking means what it means to me. Basically what Dr. Tashana said, because I do it unintentionally. It's really a part of my everyday life. I can go to Walmart and you'll catch me networking with the cashier, just in general conversation. And we don't realize that it's just sometimes just talking to people on a daily basis, you're really building relationships, and that's part of networking in itself.
All right. So I've just put a message in the chat to remind everybody to drop your questions in. And ladies, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first question to kind of get this conversation rolling. So much like I said before, where it is very conversation-like, I'll ask questions, but definitely invite you to kind of share your perspective on whether the questions or some other piece of tips. But I asked both of you to come on this particular topic because you have a different perspective. India, your entire business you have built online organically with followers. Tashana, your job is to work with leaders, business owners, to kind of build their presence up there. So I'd love to start that question off with, what are some of the pain points that you have seen for yourself and for people that you may have worked with in building their network over the last several months with COVID and us being all inside? And Tashana, why don't you start us off with that question?
The pain points. First of all, just sure know-how and time, how to manipulate and create content to share with these different audiences on social media, and creating content to share via email, consistency, not having the time, resources, it really runs the gamut. But overall, time and know-how has really been a serious pain point for my clients. And that's the reason why they hire me. They don't want to be bothered with it. They don't want to, have to worry about, how do I post here? And I can't do this over here. And where do I use hashtags? And which hashtags are relevant? And all of those different things. And I think a lot of people didn't expect this, for us to be over a year into this pandemic, right? And they thought that they could rest on their laurels for a little while and we would go back to normal. So by the time they realized that they needed to pivot, it was too late. So yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Yeah. So what about you, India? Same pain points, or even did you have to do something different to grow yourself during this time?
Just piggyback off of that, it was definitely for a lot of my customers and a lot of my teammates. It was more so the consistency of having to show up every day. And because a lot of our customers are at home, they was looking for you, so unlike if you're at work and I post on Monday and I don't post again till Thursday, you're not really noticing that almost 3-day gap. But because you're home and your kids, you're homeschooling, you're looking for an outlet, you're on your phone all day, or you're in between, you're realizing, wait, I haven't seen that person in 3 days. So now you're paying attention. And as a business owner, you're realizing, okay, I have to constantly, like she said, have content, something daily to post and to show up, because people are really going to be looking for you. And depending on what your product or your service is, depending on how often you need to show up. Because of what I do, mine is more so supplements. That's something I take every day. That is an item, a consumable product. People are looking for me to show up every day. And when I did not, they definitely, I can tell the decline. Maybe if I took a little break, I needed a break because of homeschooling, being the lunch lady, being the gym teacher, and being the entertainment. Some days can be a lot, and being a business owner, because now I'm at home all day. Well, I was already working from home, but now my son is home all day, so I got to entertain him in between taking care of my business as well. So some days I just really took a break. So I had to more so put up a game plan on how I can be consistent with showing up for my customers, even if I wasn't always the one personally showing up. There was some content being put out or some information being given daily that kept them abreast of what was going on, or keeping them updated of what they can do, in the meantime. So that was definitely a pain point for myself, me having to be sure that I was consistent and being disciplined and being consistent, because that's what it takes. I mean, we all have the mindset of getting up and working out every day and eating right, but boy, does it take
Boy, I
discipline
wish.
to
We
get
try.
that done.
We try.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But
Right.
great points about being consistent and being disciplined. But both of you brought up a great point about strategy, because I know we have some people on the call that are business owners, a fair amount, but then we also have some that are in corporate and they're just looking to build their network. So let's drill it down to fundamentals. In general, what is your strategy to kind of building your network? Like, what do you look for? Who do you look for? And if you can give some kind of tips about your approach to doing it. Either one of you want to kick that one off?
Sure. India, do you want to kick that off?
Repeat the last part one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was about strategy. Because there are people on the call that are both small business owners, but also some that are in corporate that are just looking to expand their network and wanted to know if you had a particular strategy that you use to build a network. How who do you identify? How do you know who to go after? And in general, what is your approach?
Oh, okay. Oh, you say you want me to kick that off?
I'll take it if you want me to. It's up to you. I'll start off. So the thing about I have to be very clear about my target market. So you heard me talk about who I work with right off the bat. Coaches, consultants, experts. It's very easy for us to, as small business owners, get called into, I can help everybody, and I can, but I have a sweet spot, and I'm really good at helping both executives and solopreneurs, small business owners, build their personal brand. And that's what I've really been focused on in the last 6 to 12 months, making sure that people understand who I am. That's been at the forefront of my strategy. Like, who is Tashana? Why would you want to work with her? And really trying to create an environment where people feel like they know me so that they can then like me and trust me, right? So people do business with folks they know, like, and trust. So that has been at the forefront of my strategy. I launched last year as a result of the pandemic, Coffee with Tashana on Fridays. And that's been an opportunity for people to log in, on Zoom every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and have a conversation with me. And it's my way of giving back some of what I know as well. And, free coaching pretty much. And, that's been a way for people to see who I am, not only professionally, but see what my heart is for entrepreneurs, right? And, how I want to give back to them.
Okay, it's a great point. Start first with knowing who you are as a person and getting really clear on that one as you think about who to connect with.
Being willing to share some of who you are, not just buy this, here's my thing, here's my product, here's my service.
Vulnerability. Anything you want to add to that? We do have a question in the chat box from Sherry. India, do you want to add to that one?
Yes, and it goes right back to what Dr. Shauna was saying. It is your target market, your target audience. And I'm going to say a word that frightens a lot of people. And for me, my networking tool is going live. I know you all are terrified of that camera.
Oh my God.
We are shaking in our boots, but it's something about going live, the connection you get with people, because they can really see you as a person and not just that business owner, not just that person on Instagram, not just that the person on Facebook. And for me, even going live, like my son, I was going live while he was doing school. And he would, cut in and say stuff. And I was like, you got to be quiet. I'm live. And I was like, you know what? I'm live. There's nothing I can do. I can't edit it. I can't mute it. So it just became a thing that I did every morning. And people look forward to that. They was like, oh, how's he doing? Did he make it to gym? How's he doing in art? Like, they start to really enjoy the camaraderie and then me including them in my everyday routine. And all I was doing going live, honestly, was doing my morning routine, taking my supplements, talking to them, getting his breakfast ready, and that was it. So again, it just depends, like you said, you know, inviting them in, letting them get to know you, especially during this pandemic, because we're all at home. We're looking for something else and another way of working our business. You know, just putting a picture up and just selling a product, that's not working. And now we're in a whole new year, so we have whole other new strategies, and things changes all the time. So we got to be able to flow with that as well.
Right.
All
And
right, you heard it from these ladies. Go
yeah,
ahead.
if I may interject, she spoke to a really good point. People are looking for connection. They want to be connected to you,
Mhm.
you know, so
Yes.
allow them to do that in some way.
That means we got to get vulnerable, ladies, to go live. You're just a little
Very,
vulnerable.
very vulnerable.
All right. Question from Sherry, and it was actually related to what we were talking about before. She said, so you're saying if we have a visual business, we need to make a post every single day. Also, when posting, when is the ideal time to post?
Right. So, India, you want to go ahead?
For it depends on what the business is. I do say post every day, but it don't have to be a sales post every day. It can be just in general what you're doing for the day. You're out with the family post, depending on what your business is. You kind of have to see how your audience and what their needs are. Sometimes it can be a Q&A, it can be a tip for the day. It can be a result post of something you've done or are working on, you know, maybe a behind the scene post. So it don't have to be a item or a product post all the time, but you want to be consistent, because what happens is that's how they learn to like and trust you, because they're like, okay, it's a lot of people on Instagram, especially, that scam people. And just being honest, a lot of people get burned, and that's people pop up with new business every day. So if they, you know, see you Monday, then they don't see you a whole another month and a half later, then they really cannot honestly take you serious, and they really cannot, they don't have the time to build trust with you. So you want to be sure that you're at least showing up for that, so that the consistency of you running your business and showing up is what's shining through, as well as, again, it's giving them a chance to get to know you as a person and a business owner.
Okay. Tashana, you want to add to that one?
Sure. So I think that the question really, I agree with India totally about, you know, posting daily, but it really depends on the platform that you're on. So you're asking about what time. You know, LinkedIn is different from Facebook. Instagram is different from, you know, Instagram, you probably should post more than once a day. I post once a day to Instagram, but you know, if that's where your audience really is, you know, need to be doing some reels, some videos, some lives, some, you know, some other content. It just depends, I guess, is the bigger question. And what I will say to that is, don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do everything at once. Click a platform. You know where your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's LinkedIn, I have a client that's just on LinkedIn. She is killing it. Everybody else is everywhere, right? And, you know, but she is just on LinkedIn. She's focused in on that. And she's really yielding some big contracts from that.
I think that takes me to my next question. And please do drop them in the chat. Is how do you leverage your network? It's great to post, build relationship with people, but how do you leverage it to kind of build your business with these with people that follow you? So I know you use call to actions. That's one way to kind of pull them in. Are there other ways to kind of help leverage it to build your business?
Sure. So I would say personal messages. You know, I went through on my LinkedIn network and was sending everybody a message to, you know, actually have a virtual coffee with me. Like, I want to know who you are. I don't want to just, you know, be in the background and yeah, you're one of the 2,000 or whatever the number is, right? I want to actually know you and, you know, see how I can, not to sell you anything, but to see how I can refer business to you, see if, you know, we can use each other, you know, in a mutually beneficial way. I want to know who you are. And you will be so surprised. I had so many people responding for virtual coffees. I had to stop it. It was like, it was taking over my calendar. So be careful with that. But you have to have a way of pulling people from social onto into your stratosphere. So whether that be in person or virtually or on an email list, offering them some type of free offer or something low cost offer that they get onto an email list. You have to remember you don't own social media. So if they start charging
What,
$100,
really?
you don't. Sorry, some people think they do. So if they start charging you, $150 tomorrow to use Facebook, will you still use it? And will your customer still use it, which is the most important thing? You might, but that's really something to think about.
Okay. Follow-up question coming for you, Tashana, in the chat is, can you elaborate a little bit more on your virtual coffee? Was it a free group, coaching, or
Sure.
individual? And did you
So
stick
it was
to a Q&A?
individual. It was and it was just getting to know you. It wasn't, hey, what do you do? What's your family like? Like from an authentic place. I know that's an used word, but really trying to get to know people. I know we want to be social, but we don't want to be, we want to be on social media, but we don't want to be social. We don't want to have to interact and do the engagement piece. And that is where every single platform is the algorithm is going to kill you if you are not actually engaging. If you're just throwing up on people, excuse my language, as opposed to being part of a broader conversation, that's an issue. So no, I don't just stick to Q&A. It's a real conversation. I say 15 to 30 minutes, nothing longer than 30 minutes. People have you on all day.
Suck you dry, get everything they can.
They will.
One more question for you.
They will try to treat it as a coaching session. That is not what the purpose is, no.
Of course. A question here from Lorraine. I always thought LinkedIn was to share valuable content. I feel like people are going right for the sales connect, which has turned me off. Any clarification there? I know, Shauna, you mentioned about LinkedIn.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my gosh, I get so many inboxes of
and it's
stuff.
like, it's a mess. So and I let people know in my email, I am not trying to sell you anything. I just want to know who you are. Profile looks interesting. If that doesn't work for you, I'm cool. I'm not, you have to kind of make it clear because they're used to being inundated at this point, with all these sales offers. You use a template like, yes, I do. I do. Yeah. I do use
so I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about things when they go wrong. See what we can learn from some of those failures. If either of you will speak about a time where it didn't go well, like whether it be an initiative that you kicked out or some focus area, and what did you learn from it? Because I always found that our failures are life lessons. So anything you want to share about networking and what you did and how you failed and how you bounced back from it?
I can speak on a time actually recently where, now Facebook has and Instagram has now had like a voice note where you can leave a voice recording of what you're saying instead of texting. Because I'm not a big texter. That's not my thing. So I had a sale, and I guess the wording of the sale just wasn't as clear as I thought it was. And the customer made the purchase, received the item, and thought they should have gotten something else. So instead of me texting her this long explanation of what actually took place, I did a voice message to where I was explaining, it's my apologies. I understand, on my end where the way it was worded could have been misunderstood. What I can do is go ahead and send you out the difference, and this will be, I'll eat the cost on my end because it was my mistake. But what I learned from that is to be sure that what I'm offering gives clear information. It's not, sometimes you can see something, you can read and you're like, oh, it's a great deal. And then there's maybe a little fine print we miss, or you're missing a word in the message. Because I've seen, some posts on Facebook where there's a missing word, so it has a whole new meaning to what they're trying to say. So I work on being sure that I give out clear information on what I'm giving and what they're going to expect. I mean, down to where if I'm talking in my DM, I'm sending you photos. If you're saying you want this particular bundle, I send you, if it's a picture of me holding it or actual picture of the item, I'm sending you pictures so that we can confirm we're both talking about the same item. This is what you're going to receive. You understand it's not the big bag, it's the little bag, or whatever it is, because it can be something that simple as just them calling it one name and you referring to it as something else. And again, just that's all it was.
Yeah.
The customer
And
called
right there, you
it
lose
the
that
main name.
relationship.
Exactly. And then she was expecting A and I was sending B, and they was similar items. They was just a difference in names. So I'm just being sure now that I'm clear about that. And like I said, I send out pictures and make sure that we both have an understanding of what you're asking for and what you're going to receive. And that has helped me tremendously, especially with not texting, because now they can understand that I'm being sincere when I leave the voice, memo. It's not taken because it could have came off in a text message as I was being snotty, anything. So being clear about my information and giving them that voice information is definitely helpful for me.
Okay. Tashana, anything you want to add about those failures? Powerful teachers.
So,
it's like, no, I'm so awesome.
No, there's a couple of things. I'm just trying to figure out. So one thing with Coffee with Tashana, I tried to change the schedule because it's a lot to be on every week. So I tried to change it. So I'll do it once a month or I'll do it twice a month. And I played with kind of different iterations of that. And people, they're either going to be on every week and know that it's going to be there, or they're not going to show up at all. So when you play with the schedule and you try to deviate from the consistency again, being consistent with that kind of was disastrous, trying to change that schedule. And what else? I gave away strategy sessions at the beginning of the pandemic. So once a week in my Facebook group, I would give away a strategy session, and I would put them in a thing and randomly choose. And people just don't value things they don't pay for. That's the truth of it.
So believe that.
So
yes.
that's that.
Yes. Period. Put a period on that. They do not value it. There was another question in the chat about using email marketing. And I know that's one of the things you said in the beginning, Tashana, about just leading people in and going to your email list. And I don't know if you do it as well, India, but do either of you ladies use email marketing? How powerful have you found it to be or not to be?
So email marketing is incredibly powerful. And it is it's powerful as long as your list is powerful. So if you have people hanging on your list just to say you have a couple thousand and they're not engaged, get them out of there. I was one of those, I'll admit it. Had 3,000 people on my list. I got 3,000 people on my list. Well, who cares if only 100 of them are engaging, right? Who cares? So that's one of the things I've done in the last 6 or so months. Went in and cleaned up my email list. I try to email weekly, but at a minimum, I'm emailing every month. So I'm emailing to remind people of my Coffee with Tashana. I'm emailing people a tip, information, not necessarily trying to sell them anything, and reminding them that, of my sales cycle, my buyer's journey kind of goes through discovery session, then paid session, then blah, blah, blah. So kind of taking them through that process, but it is such an underutilized resource for so many small businesses, I think. Either people are doing it doing it and overdoing it, because you know some people send you an email every day. Hate that.
Yes,
Hate
I
it.
had to unsubscribe to a few of them.
Hate it. But
Please do drop any other questions, into the chat. I have another one for you ladies while some of our attendees are thinking about their burning questions, is the advice that you would have for someone who is not so outgoing. They're not into the going live, barely like to put a picture up, but they definitely want to build their online presence a little bit more and struggling to do so. So any advice that you have for someone to can network virtually, but do it in a way that's comfortable for their style?
They don't want to go live, and they don't want to put their own picture up or no pictures up.
is that what you said? No pictures?
Their own picture. Just
Okay.
feeling not so confident about, just not comfortable about all of that piece.
And they're a business
Love
owner?
to sell their whatever, their widget, want to sell that stuff and want to focus on that, just don't want to focus on themselves.
My first piece of advice would be to be willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. How about say you have to. I mean, I understand you don't want to go live, but do a recording. Record yourself and then post it. I mean, I haven't always been this easy to just get on camera. Trust me, I can show you old videos and I'm shaking in my boots and trembling. But you honestly, in order to grow, because the world around you is growing and moving totally differently, you don't want to be left behind and you don't want to miss out. So you're going to have to at some point step out, whether it's maybe not doing a live video, do a short video, record yourself and play it. Facebook has an option actually where you can record and only you can see it. Like you can actually do a live video yourself, only you can see it. You can play it back, you can delete it and start over. You know, that may be a starting point, but at some point you're going to have to, like you said, step out your comfort zone, because you're going to have to grow in business. You know, you're going to have to move with what we're doing with technology. I mean, we see now businesses and everyone is online. You know, Fortune 500 companies are doing their Zooms online, and most companies want you to do it. Turn on your camera. You know, they want you to show up, whether it's
Be ready.
to have a meeting. Right. You know, you're going to have to step out and just figure out a way, even if you don't want to post your own photos, you know, working on content. That I pick a content day, and Sundays are normally my content days where I get all dressed up as you see. And like today is going to be content day because I skipped on Sunday. I'm not going to lie. But you do different things like, you know, taking photos while you're all made up, and you can change up your earrings. No one knows you took those pictures on Sunday. We don't know those pictures are from 2 weeks ago until you tell us. To us, they're new content. Those are new photos. You just did those. You know what I mean? So you just have to find creative ways to consistently show up and just, you know, give us something different, you know, different. When I say I did my pictures, so today, I'll take some pictures and I may go outside and take some photos. You all may not see those photos till next week. Again, no one knows I did those pictures today, but at the same time, I'm gonna create content with those same photos different ways. I'm gonna use different tools on Canva, you know, blur out my background. I'm gonna add a new background. I'm gonna add product, all kind of things. I'm gonna do those photos that I've only taken in one day, but I can use them pictures over and over again. If you take a look on my Instagram, you'll see a lot of photos of me holding products, or me in my kitchen. You can't tell me my kitchen because my background is blurred out. But those pictures are maybe weeks ago old, you know, but I can, again, reuse them again because no one knows that they're old photos. You know, you can just use them to your advantage. You can add different, you can use word swag to add different, you know, verbiage on it to, you know, be more relevant to what's going on right now. It's so many different things you can do without always, I guess, going live, but you definitely want to step out your comfort zone and try something different that you haven't done before.
Thank you, ladies, for your perspective on that one. Because I think everybody is not so comfortable jumping in, especially when I think about when I first left corporate. Just networking without me using the brand of the company I worked for, and now with my own brand, was a transition in itself. And then getting used to just selling myself and not just the things that I do, which takes me to my next question, which is about this whole notion, like, what if you're in the process of building your brand for your company, for these small business owners that are on here, but building your personal brand too? Any tips that you can give to someone who, I want to start doing this thing, but I really don't understand what my brand is. I'm not selling a product like India, but I may be selling a service, which is closer to you, Tashana. So any tips about someone who is at that formation time of building their brand and presence?
So I love this question. If you don't mind, India, I'll take it. So one thing that I've been in business for 14 years, one thing that I wish I had done, and all of you can do today, brand yourself. You should have a website. You should have a logo. You should have a look and feel, because you have even if you're working in corporate, you have core competencies that will be transitional, should you leave the current career that you're in. Brand yourself. I am, moving into some other things, coaching and other. It would be beautiful if that was already done. And people know, if they know you, then as long as it's not totally, things that don't match, they know that whatever you put out is going to be of quality. So I know Dr. Andrea, I know that whatever she puts out is going to be quality. If she starts selling houses tomorrow, oh, she's going to do a good job at that, because I know who she is, right? So you're building your audience, you're teaching people who you are and about all the different things that you're interested in. We are not one-trick ponies. And I know a lot of branding and marketing coaches will tell you, stick to one thing. That's just not the truth of who we are. But if you brand yourself, you can tell the truth of who you are. I like puppies and I'm a marketer. I like, I'm a mom and I like to cook and I'm a marketer. Whatever the mix of things is, you can tell that story better when it's just you telling it versus you're trying to tell it under an umbrella of some organization, even if it's your own.
That's great. I wrote that one down. Brand myself. I do believe you told me that a couple of years ago, Tashana. So I need to put it into action. I'm going to take a question, excuse me, from the chat box, because I want to make sure, because believe it or not, we're down to 15 minutes. One of the things that Sherry noted in here is just a comment. I struggle with trying to make sure that my background is just right, or the content is the way it needs to be. Once I go back and look at it, they're just not right, so I never post them. It makes me so super nervous to post. Any idea to kind of, any tip for her to kind of push forward? And Sherry, your stuff is great. She's a balloon artist.
Ooh,
you
wow. Can I answer that?
A deflated balloon and people would love it. But yes, go ahead, India.
Okay. Sherry, I'm gonna tell you this. There's an app for that. Okay. There's an app for everything. And it doesn't have to the point where it messes up your content. It can generally just blur out some background. You can blur out some pieces, just kind of critique it. Clean it up a little bit and still be able to post it. And keep in mind, we want to see the real in raw. So to you, what looks like, oh, my background is not right, will be intriguing to us, because we're like, oh, okay, I never thought of that. And I never thought about putting balloons there. And, oh, that is cute in the background. You know what I mean? Because realizing, even when we're because I have pictures that I'm like, oh, I do not want to post this. Like, this is a horrible photo. My husband, he'll look and he'll say, it's not that bad. And I'm like, nope, not going to happen. I'm not going to post it. And then I had to get out of my own way, because sometimes we critique ourselves a lot more than someone else. and we'll overdo it. And like you said, we'll talk ourselves out of it, and then we just don't post it. And it could very well been what someone was looking for, and I had to understand, even with what I was doing, I'm not going to be perfect. And I don't go live like this. I go live in a robe in the morning. Okay, and that's
with a
one
cup of
part.
coffee in your hand.
The first thing they tell you is, be cute. Make sure you got on clothes and look the part. And I did total opposite. I was going live every morning in a robe, to the point where people was commenting on the robe, like, "Girl, that's a cute robe. Where you get that? That's cute." And it's content. It's
that
not
one with the fur is fire, though.
see, but I'm known for that. But again, because it's not what everyone would think, like, "Girl, you posted a picture of you in a robe." I would never. But I do it, and it works, and it brings engagement. People comment on the robe or the coffee mug that I have in my hand. Hint, hint, I'm holding coffee. I may be selling you coffee, but I know you're going to comment on this cute mug. You know what I mean? So it's all about your content, and it don't have to be perfect. It just needs to sometimes be really raw, and that's what gets people attention.
I love that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Another question in our chat box. What is the information for Facebook going live by yourself? If there's something, isn't it just a button? I think it's a button.
Yes, so when you hit the live button, there's an option. There's a drop down that'll say "for only me," and it'll be a little lock beside it, and it'll just be only you can see it at that time.
Okay. And maybe when you get a chance, India, you can drop that into the chat box for Sylvia. That was her question. Another one from Andrea George. Are you familiar with Trello? Trello, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a social media scheduling app, and what are your thoughts about it? Either one of you ladies use Trello?
I don't use it. I've heard of it, but I don't use it.
I haven't heard. Yes.
Do either of you use a scheduling app to help?
Yeah, I use Buffer. I put in the chat. I use Buffer.
Oh, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
Buffer. I've heard of that one. I know on Facebook you can kind of schedule your posts on your business page, so I use that. I don't use a lot of apps, third party, especially on Instagram, because they tend to tap you on the hand for some things. And because they have become a little more strict about things, I'm really careful about, third party apps. So I organically post those posts a lot of times on my Instagram myself. But the one on Facebook, I use Facebook scheduling itself.
Okay. Any other comments about that one to help people? Because I know the building content and scheduling time out and coming up with themes, that is totally in your wheelhouse, Tashana, because I know that's something you do with your clients. India,
Lorraine, if you have a question, do you want to put it in the chat? I think Lorraine has a question. Can you put in the chat, or you want to say?
Sure, I can.
Either way, well, Dr. Andrea, whatever you want.
Yeah. She can ask it. Is she on? Did I miss it? Is it in the chat? Okay, I didn't see it just yet.
So I do think it's, to your point, Dr. Andrea, I do think it's very important to schedule your content. Everybody can't do what India's doing, and she's a rock star for posting organically. But, there are tools out there to help you, whether it's Hootsuite, Buffer, Trello, Later. There's a million of them. Social Pilot. You can pick one, but you should have a day that you plan out your content for the week or 2 weeks. Like, my content's already done into like the first week of April, right? So it's not it's not a stressor. Well, I have clients. I can't,
yeah, I know.
We got to make this thing work. It has to plan ahead.
Yes.
Sure.
And we're going to send a follow-up email with all the contact information and their social media links, because we do want you to follow both Tashana and India on social media. Oh, well, thank you. You dropped yours in there, but it'll be more in there too. All right, Lorraine, did your question get asked?
She said, I love Trello to schedule. Oh, awesome.
Okay. All right, another question, and we're down to 10 minutes, ladies. So if you have a burning question, make sure you put it in the chat box. Now, we've talked about strategies, we've talked about tips, we've talked about social media platforms as well. Let's talk a little bit about the relationship part of it. So there's a little bit about the networking and building a network, getting the people in and getting them to like you and being compelling content, but how do we maintain a relationship such that when it's time for us to sell or do something, they'll be apt to buy. If it's time for us to come hear us, they'll be apt to attend. So can you talk a little bit about the relationship part of it? What has worked well for you and what has not worked well?
So there are a couple of
Oh.
things. I'm sorry. There are a couple of things. Just being authentic. And there's people that you're going to connect to organically and expanding those relationships. So if I go out with India and we have a really good, or we meet on virtual coffee and we have a really good virtual coffee, don't let that be the end of it. Whether you create a nurture sequence and, that's something that we do in marketing, or I organically, every month or so reach out to India, or when I come out across an article that's relevant to her business or something that I know that can help her, being willing to make those connections and being willing to help people. When I talk to Dr. Andrea, where I go, she go. So if I'm in a room, right, and I know it could benefit her because we have a relationship, I'm going to be looking to make introductions. It's really, looking for ways that you can help people, even if you don't need their product or service. I have you send out cards.
Yeah. You're responding, to Lorraine's comment, yes.
I want to say, even with that, like she was saying, just remember that they're people. Outside of them being your customers, they're human. They go through things, especially what we're going through right now in the world. I have a follow-up Friday. So on Fridays, I'll go in my inbox and I'll send customers maybe from a few weeks ago, just a hello message. Hey, hun, it's genuine because I know everyone know I say hun first. I say, hey, hun.
You do.
Just checking in to see how you're doing. Hope all is well. I'm not trying to say you anything. It's nothing long. It's not a whole paragraph, just something sweet. And people genuinely respond back like, oh, I'm great, or I'm not so great. I had a death in the family, or, I just moved. I had a customer who just moved, and she lived in Texas. And, we had the issue, last month in Texas. So I checked on her, just genuinely, she crossed my mind. And she was like, you got me in tears because you remember that I moved. She's a new homeowner. And I genuinely was like, hey, how are you enjoying your new home? It was nothing about my products, nothing about anything else. And I was like, when you get a chance, send me pictures of the new house. She had pictures already ready. She sent them to me. We engaged. We talked about the new house, her decorating, and it was genuinely relationship building. Now, when she runs out of her products, or she think about, during quarantine, she want to get some of the weight off, she's going to think about, hey, India reached out to me, let me give her a call. Or she's getting ready for an engagement. She's going to be thinking, wait, India had those, fabulous magnetic lashes. Let me hit her inbox. I'm just going to be on her mind. And that's the thing. You just want to build, as she stated, genuine relationships with people. And just remember, they're human. They go through things. Remember their birthdays. Have a thing where you send out birthdays, for the month of March. Everyone that has a birthday in March, you send them a genuine birthday card. People love that. I love to get a birthday card from Starbucks that I never go to, but it still feels nice to get a birthday card. They remember me, even though they send it a week or two early. They thought about you. And just that, will help, especially during this time. We just need to really build more on connecting and engaging with people, genuinely, not always, like I say, trying to sell a product or a service, just genuinely checking in.
Awesome. Now, I know we're down to the last 5 minutes because I want to make sure I leave time for you guys to have closing remarks with it. But Lorraine had put in here about send out cards, and Tashana, you immediately said, yes, I've used that before. Do you want to explain how you've used it for people who may not be familiar with it?
Yeah, so send out cards, you can pretty much automate sending people birthday cards, and you can send them like a little gift of brownies. Or brownies are really good. I'm not eating brownies right now, but you know. So but when they changed their platform, I stopped using them. So, but I think it is important. Like I built my business on sending handwritten notes to 50 businesses across the country, right? And that was 14 years ago, and the rest is history. There is an element of traditional marketing and digital marketing that we have to marry. I'm not of the thought that we sacrifice one for the other. I know people a little shaky about getting something in the mail nowadays, but I subscribe to every box, Stitch Fix, Hello Fresh. I want everything in the mail, right? And I think that people enjoy getting, something in the mail to let them know that you thought of them, an email, a text, whatever kind of communication works best for you, to let people know you care about them beyond what they can do for you, beyond the business.
Well said, well said. Now, as we get ready to wrap up and have final words, I just want to share some of the nuggets that I got today. I learned a lot about the platform, about timing. Is a little bit in my whipping on me a little bit about Andrea. You need to make sure you're setting up, be sure you're doing time. But one of the biggest takeaways is about the authenticity and being true and being vulnerable to people. So for those of you that are small business owners, or if you're in corporate and you're just looking to kind of build your own personal brand, to me, putting that element is something that I heard consistently between Tashana and India about being authentic, authentically connecting with the people that you serve. So I hope that was a takeaway. So in these last couple of minutes, anything that you ladies want to share, tips or best quotes or best advice that you have going forward. And then, of course, you can share a little final pitch about your business, and I'll make sure I include that one in our follow-up email. But,
I want to share something. This was always said to me by a mentor. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Okay, one thing I want to share with the group in terms of something that was said to me, this was shared by a mentor who recently passed. She always said this quote, "Who I am makes a difference." And with our personal branding, if we can keep reiterating, because sometimes it's women, it's people of color, or somebody that, people will just dismiss it as in the corporate or in a social setting. We all have our biases that you just think, oh, can't be bothered with that person, or this person is not heard, etc. And you have to remember that, practice that, and live that. Who I am makes a difference.
Thank you, Andrea. Who I am makes a difference. Tashana, India, any last parting remarks to everyone that came today?
I just want to say thank you all for joining. I appreciate my friends that came on and supported. Thank you so much. My thing to the business owners, if you don't remember anything else, the main thing is be consistent. Consistency is key, and showing up daily, showing up for yourself, showing up for your business, and be sure you take time out for yourself. Business can be overwhelming at times. Life can be overwhelming at times. And sometimes we forget about us as people, that we need to have self-care, that we need self-love, and just time out for ourselves. So be sure that you're taking care of yourself, whether it's a few minutes in a tub, running off to Tarjay without the kids, whatever that is for you. Just be sure that you're enjoying your own time alone and you're self-reflecting, because being a business owner, being a mom, being, we have to be wife, we have to be all these other things for other people. We still got to be there for ourselves. And that's what, drives you daily and, keep us moving. Thank you again, Dr. Andrea, for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Tashana, parting words.
Well, thank you again, Dr. Andrea, for having me. It's really been a pleasure chatting with you ladies. And I would say, get plugged into a network, come over to my group and join us. We're not trying to sell you nothing at Beyond the Business for some awesome marketing tips on Facebook. I have a free coffee with Tashana on Fridays. I put the link in the chat box. So get plugged in and, tap in and see how you can get some resources to really help you propel yourself and your business forward. And setting small goals, and done is better than perfect, Sherry, right? Sometimes done is better than perfect. And and don't be hard on yourself, really love on yourself and make it a point each week. On Fridays, I talk about what was our win for the week. Find a win, whether it's personal or professional. Really give yourself credit for all the effort that you're putting out in the world.
Awesome. Well said, ladies. And we're at the top of the hour. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this month. There will not be a brown bag virtual lunchtime session next month, but we'll be back again in May. So everybody that was here today, you'll get an email about the topic that comes up in May. So I hope to see you guys in May. And thank you, ladies, for spending this time with me and in lunch. And until next time, bye-bye, everybody.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.